Right now we're in the middle of defining the avatar for our character. In the previous movie we concentrated on the mapping section here, which allows us to pick out the bones for the skeleton in this hierarchy here in the hierarchy panel and control how they map onto these various bone sections here for the avatar. Now we know that the bones in the model define its structure. They define all the different joints and hinges in this structure on which the character will animate. Now we want to concentrate on the muscles, and what the muscles do are they define how these bones in our hierarchy relate to the vertices in the mesh. It may be the case that we want to take this skeleton and reuse it on different characters. Well, some characters are tall and thin, like me, and some characters are really big and fat, like Shrek, for example. So we might want to reuse the same skeleton on both characters, but because the characters are completely different sizes, the vertices of the mesh will be different distances away from the bones. And so the mapping between the bones and the vertices will change. What the muscles category does is it allows us to control how the bones relate to the vertices. This process in other applications is often called skinning, but Unity calls it muscles. So let's take a look at how the muscles tab works. So I'm going to switch over now to the muscles tab just by clicking on the muscles tab here, and already the character has changed its pose in the viewport. So let's just scroll down in the viewport and just take a look at this pose here, and you can see that it's slightly hunched over and bent like so, and it's in this kind of pose that we've got here. Now, of course, I can start to change these poses. I can say, for example, we have this open and close pose. So I can just scroll this slider in and out. And you can see that's what's happening is the character is being posed between different extremes. So the bones are stretching out this way, and then it's being crunched up this way here. So we're really controlling the sort of extremities of the character's posture. And what we're looking for in particular when we do this is we're looking to see how the deformations are happening, how well this character is deforming in its current configuration. So we have a left and a right pose, which controls again the character stretching in either direction. We have a sort of roll left and roll right pose. We have an in and out pose. We have this roll in and roll out, finger open, finger closed, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to reset all of those poses there back to their defaults. Things are looking okay for this character mesh, but it might not always be the case, particularly if you are reusing this skeleton for a different character. Let's just open up, for example, the head section here, the head slider. Maybe open up this left arm slider, and let's take a look at what's going on here with these muscles definitions. You'll notice that now when I slide between the open and close pose up here, the sliders down here are actually changing, and that's because these presets here are controlling how these sliders work. So when I slide between the open and close pose, you can see that the sliders below in the per muscle settings are also sliding to their different extremes. So what exactly is going on here? Well, let me just reset this back to normal. Let's take, for example, just the head pose here. Let's have a look at the head, the neck nod down and up. So when I start to control this slider, we get the head looking up and the head looking down. So I'm just going to reset that back to its center. Let's take a look at the head tilt left and right here. So we've got the head tilt left and the head tilt right. So now let's say, for example, that I'm not really happy with these settings here. I want to perhaps increase or decrease these settings. So what I can do is open up this neck tilt left and right, and we have this slider here. Let's just move, for example, the head to this extreme here. So the head is tilting to the far right. Let's say I want it to tilt further than that. Well, I can control this right hand slider, and ooh, see, now I can really affect the extremities of this. Now the head is upside down. So let's say I want to again limit this effect. Let's say about there is the maximum. So now when we're on that extreme, that is the maximum tilt that we can have for this mesh with this skeleton. Let's see what the left hand side is. Well, yes, okay, let's say I want to reduce the left hand side. So again, I can bring in this left hand slider and again see the mesh changing in the viewport. So what I've defined here is the range of deformation for the neck tilt left and right animation. So now these are the extremities that this model can be deformed. This is how much these bones can deform this model with regards to the neck tilt left and right. And we can apply a similar process to the nod up and down. So let's move over to the side again and take a look at this. So again, we've got the neck tilt up and down like so. Well, of course, that's actually looking